This offseason, one of the big tasks for the Red Sox was to go out and get themselves a legitimate closer that they can trust at the end of games. So who did they turn to? It was Kenley Jansen, one of the best closers over the past decade, if not the best closer over the past decade. And coming into the season, there were a lot of questions. Can he still be an elite closer? Is he past his prime? However, Kenley has proved all the doubters wrong. He has been elite for the Red Sox so far this year. So we're going to break it down right here on Bleacher Brawls. Luke and I will discuss what has gone right for Kenley Jansen this year. So let's not waste any time to it. This is your Kenley Jansen player profile here on Bleacher Balls. My name is Derek. I'm here with Luke, and let's get straight into it. For the Red Sox, obviously, getting a guy like Kenley is super important for them, and especially if he's going to be a very good closer, because if they're going to be a very competitive team, which it seems like they might be able to do, especially after they just swept the Toronto Blue Jays in a 4-game series, having a guy like Kenley Jansen at the back of the bullpen it just makes the rest of the bullpen fall into place much easier and gives a lot more confidence for everyone in that bullpen. Luke, what are your thoughts on this Red Sox team having Kenley Jansen in the back end of the bullpen and how he's kind of almost been a big part of transforming this bullpen from a bad bullpen to a good bullpen?
After last year, I'd forgotten what it was like to have somebody that you trust back there because in 2021, I at the beginning of the first half of the season, I still didn't trust Matt Barnes. That whole time he was dominant, I was still nervous, thinking every time he came out, oh, this could be the day it starts to go bad again with him. And I loved having Garrett Whitlock, but he was still too much of an unknown for me to feel really good about him coming in. But Kenley Jansen has just been phenomenal, and I, I think the only reason because when they signed him, I thought it was, oh, great, we got an established closer. He's a little older, but he should be fine. There was a lot of doubt from coming from people. I think Cassim in particular, he probably said Jansen blows, but he said, I think he said, yeah, Jansen's not the kind of pitcher you think he is, even though he's got all those saves. Now that I've seen him several times already this year, I get it. The way he's got like that Mariano Rivera-ish cutter that he can throw in there and he can dot that cutter more often than not, along with a good fastball. He can throw 96 miles an hour. And the biggest thing, which I never really noticed when he was with the Dodgers and when he was with who was he with after the Dodgers for that
He
one
was
year?
just with the Braves last year.
The Braves, that's right. The way he hides the ball, the way he hides the ball behind his body during his delivery, and then you don't really see it until the last. So you got really no time whatsoever. And he's got a quick arm motion, so you don't really have any time to discern what pitch he's throwing. So that was the after seeing that delivery, the way he hides the ball and stuff, I realized that this guy's really. I don't think it's a matter of he's 35. It's going to catch up with him. He's not going to be able to pitch like he used to when he was with the Dodgers. I think I just okay, I get it. It's his delivery is such a big asset for him. So that is one of the biggest things that makes him stand out in that kind of role. Is he's got a gimmick to him that really that I think sets him a notch higher even than his stuff. The stuff on his pitches would normally set him at. I think that gimmick in his delivery really bumps him up a notch.
Yeah, I think here's the thing with Kenley, too. A lot of people thought he's one of the slowest workers in baseball. The pitch clock is going to be really, really bad for him. The pitch clock might be helping him. And I think the big thing here, he's only given up one run this year, and that was in a game where he came in feeling back tightness and wasn't really feeling great, and pitched through back tightness. Besides that, he hasn't given up a run all year. I think here's the key thing for him. In 2020, his walk rate jumped to over three. Sorry, his walks per nine jumped to over three for the first time since 2012. Then in 2021, his last year with the Dodgers, his walks per nine jumped up to 4.7 walks per nine. Last year with the Braves, it dropped back down to 3.09, but it was still high for him. His prime, he was in the like 1.3s, 1.4s. One year he was at 0.92 walks per nine. He didn't walk anyone in his prime. So now this year he's down to 2.08 walks per nine. He's only walking two guys per 9 innings. I know he's only thrown 8.2 innings, so he's walked two guys in essentially 9 innings. He's also strikeouts per nine is just ticked up a tiny little bit. Is at 12.46 strikeouts per nine, compared to the 11 he's been around the last couple of years, although his prime he was at like 14. So it's not his prime, but it's still very, very good. And you look at his baseball savant, and he's just been really good. You just look at kind of everything there, and you look at all the stats that are there. It just he's just been a lot better than he has in the past, this past couple of years. It's like a return to form almost, right? He's so dominant with one pitch that maybe him waiting so long hurt him, because he'd stand there so long waiting to throw a pitch. Maybe it hurt him. The velocity's back. Who knows? Maybe the pitch clock has helped him. Maybe that's a thing.
It could be. I hadn't thought about it like that, and I did forget that he was such a slow worker, and that was one reason why people had reservations about him. That can he adjust the pitch clock? It doesn't seem like he's. I don't think it's that big of an adjustment for pitchers. I think after you do it for a few appearances, you figure it out. I mean, you're a professional at throwing the baseball, so you can figure that out. I think this might go without saying, but it's important to. I think it's important to point out how important it is to have a guy like that anchoring the bullpen, because of the way it defines everybody's role moving forward. And even if people like Josh Winkowski, like Cutter Crawford, don't really know what they are, they're kind of in this hybrid long reliever slash middle reliever slash setup man role. When you've got Kenley Jansen that is in the ninth inning waiting to close the game, it's so much less of a guessing game. It makes Alex Cora's job so much easier, I've got to assume, because who's got the ninth. Last year, nobody knew at any point who had the ninth until, I guess, they made Tanner Houck the closer, but then he got hurt, and then they didn't have anybody that was actually the established closer. But just, you have Kenley Jansen right there. So you got Josh Winkowski, who's doing really good at the beginning of the year. Well, obviously he's not going to be the closer because you have a great closer there anyway. So you know that you can plug him, you can plan out your day beforehand. All right, I got Winkowski for the 7th. I got Chris Martin for the 8th. I got Jansen for the 9th. If that's what it's going to be, if the starting pitcher gets in trouble, he's out in the 4th. All right, Winkowski can go the 4th, the 5th, maybe the 6th. And it's about building the bridge to Kenley, as opposed to how are we going to close out this game? Because the three most important outs are the last 3 outs. That's when all the pinch hitters come. That's when the bunts come. That's when the stolen base attempts come. So you've got a guy that is specialized in doing that for 10, 12 seasons, whatever it's been. You know who that guy is going to be. It's like having Craig Kimbrell again, and that felt really good in 2018. And we haven't had a guy like that since then, since Kimbrell left. So it's just such a security blanket. It makes you feel so much more comfortable as a fan. I can't imagine how much more comfortable it must make you feel as a manager.
Yeah, also, too, here's another thing with Kenley. Like, it's almost like he's found that form from his cutter. His cutter is maybe the best it's been in years, and he's throwing it more than he has in years. The last 3 years, he's been around 60% throwing it. In his prime, he was at like 85%, throwing it 85% of the time. This year, he's up throwing it almost 80% of the time this year. His slider, his usage is at 11%. It's been around 15% the last couple of years. His sinker is down to 9%. Last year, it was 23%. So we just said, you know what? I'm throwing you my best pitch. Good luck. Almost what Mariano Rivera would do at times. My cutter's my best pitch. You can't hit it. Here it comes. Good luck. And guys,
and then if he gets a couple guys on base, he can throw a show me sinker in there just to get it in the hitter's head. He's in trouble. Okay, there's a couple guys on base. Let me throw him a sinker and let him think about that. And then let me throw him a slider and let him think about that. And now he's off balance. He's waiting for the cutter, but he has to think about it. It might be a sinker. It might be a slider. But if your cutter's good enough, you don't need it. And Mariano Rivera proved that for years. He's the best closer ever. He threw one pitch his whole career.
And it's even crazier too, though, because like Kenley, like he's always thrown his cutter a lot more to righties. This year, he's throwing his cutter 88% of his pitches to right-handed hitting. The last couple years, it's been only it's been high, but still not nearly that high. Not 88% against lefties. The last couple years, he's only thrown his cutter about 50% of the time. This year, it's a lot more than 50%. I can tell you that. I don't know the math off the top of my head. But he's thrown it 48 out of the 69 pitches he's thrown. So about 2/3 of the time against lefties, he's throwing the cutter. So he's throwing his cutter a lot more, and his cutter is a lot more effective this year, and the velocity on it is up. So you're just kind of getting that mix of Kenley being back to his old self, rediscovering the cutter, not being afraid to throw it as much as he needs to throw it, which is a lot because it's such a dominant pitch. And he's shown this year, he can crank it up to 96, 97 when he needs to. And that's so important because the last 3 years, his last 4 years, his average velocity on his cutter, 91.7, 90.9, 92.5, 92.2. This year, it's 94.7. So the velo's up on it by 2 miles per hour, actually more than 2 miles per hour. So it's just the total package of Kenley being back to that elite closer is so important for the Red Sox because, like you said, it sets up the bullpen. And John Schreiber's looking like he's starting to kind of find his form. You have Winkowski's looks like a legit setup man right now. Cutter Crawford's been good. Like, it's like the whole team, this whole bullpen, with the exception of Ryan Brazier, has been like very, very good. They're going to be getting Joely Rodriguez back in a week or so, most likely. He adds to the bullpen pieces. Richard Blyers looked better as of late. Chris Martin's now back from injury. This bullpen's starting to piece together. And Bernardino, he's looked really good. Waiver claim from Seattle. So this bullpen's really piecing together, but a big, big part of it is because of how solid Kenley Jansen has been at the back end of that bullpen.
Is the biggest part of it because the other relief pitchers know he's back there too, and that's probably as such a load off of their mind as opposed to a situation like last year. So it's phenomenal. You can't overstate how important it is to have, if you do have one, to have a really good closer at the back of the bullpen. And I think any pitcher who has a plus pitch like his cutter should be reminded, hey, stick with your best pitch. That's something that Brian Bayo could maybe hear a little bit. Stick with your changeup, throw that a little more, and don't mess around with some of that other stuff so much.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing that it's just like this. Like, I feel like the Red Sox, the vibe around this team has changed, and we talked about it a little bit on the Red Sox podcast. It's also going up today on Friday. But it's like the vibe around this team's changed, and a lot of it we do say like the offense. A lot of people are saying the offense, but that bullpen has been so secure for the Red Sox. If they have it every game that they've gone into the 6th inning with the lead, they've won this year. They have not lost when they've gone into this. I think either gone into the 6th inning, or I think it is gone into the 6th inning with the lead. They've won. If not, it's after the 6th inning with the lead. It's one of the two, but that's still really impressive, regardless of which way it is.
Who was their best relief pitcher all year last year? Tanner Houck. And their bullpen this year has been, that's true. I forgot. I didn't mention Schreiber earlier when I was talking about the bullpen either. I'm disappointed. He's my favorite guy in the bullpen. But in all this bullpen is doing so well this year with Tanner Houck not even being a part of it. He was the one guy you could maybe call a closer at any point last year. And he is in the starting rotation now, doing well in the starting rotation. So you don't even have him. It's a completely remade and refangled bullpen that has really dominated. And they haven't had the use of Tanner Houck. And to cap things off, so their bullpen did really well during this 4-game sweep of Toronto at Fenway Park. And they won 2 of those games. The first 2 games, they were 1-run wins. And they didn't even need Kenley Jansen in any of those games. They could have used him. I'm sure they would have liked to have had him, but with the back spasm issues, they were able to win 4 straight over Toronto without the use of the services of Kenley Jansen at all. So I think that really tells you a lot about how this team is playing right now. And you just got to really keep your fingers crossed and hope these back spasm issues don't keep on occurring on a regular basis throughout the season.
Yeah, I think that's the only other thing. As long as he can stay healthy, it seems like he's going to be in a really good spot. And now the Red Sox are going to go to Philly and then Atlanta. So Kenley's going to get to see a lot. I think this will be a big test for Kenley because he's the guys that saw him last year. He seems to be a different pitcher this year. Is he going to have success against the guys who literally he was just in there? I mean, he was on the Braves last year, so maybe they didn't see him. They didn't play against him, but he was on their team. And then you get the Phillies who he played against last year, pitched against. Can he have success against those guys who still saw him last year? Because how much has the AL East saw of Kenley Jansen over the years? Let's be honest. It's not much, right? So I think it'll be a big test for him. Any final thoughts on Kenley Jansen or how he affect him as a whole or him affecting the Red Sox bullpen? Any final thoughts?
I think it'll be interesting if there's any save opportunities in Philadelphia because you got Kyle Schwarber deal with there, and you got Bryce Harper back miraculously already. So that would be if he has to come in and face the top of the order at any point in Philadelphia in that park. His pitch is a cutter, and lefties a cutter from a right-handed pitcher to a really good left-handed hitter is always kind of,
it can be iffy depending on the pitcher. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if he's throwing it well, even if it's a good pitch for him, you got a lefty like Schwarber or Harper at the plate. That's still going to make you a little concerned.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to wrap it up though. Kenley's looked amazing so far. That 2-year deal is looking like it's really going to pay off, and it's looking like the Red Sox have done some good business there, at least so far in this small sample size he's had. Make sure to check out all our Bleacher Brawls links in the description, the Bleacher Brawls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post. And let us know in the comments your thoughts on Kenley Jansen. Have you been surprised by him? Happily surprised? Did you think this was going to happen? I don't know if anyone did, but if you did, let us know. And just how your thoughts about this Red Sox bullpen as a whole. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. For Luke, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.